You're watching another Nerd Stalker interview. Okay, welcome to another Nerd Stalker interview. Good morning. This is Greg Glory, aka Social Greg, on Twitter for the Nerd Stalker Media Network. Today, I'm pleased to talk with Murat Ozkan of Zackees, live from San Francisco here on Google Plus Hangouts. Zackees is a new concept in bicycle safety, and it's really adaptable for other things. And I'll let Murat say more about that a little later. A little bit about Murat. He's a senior design engineer at Nuvation Research Corporation and studied engineering in Canada at the University of Waterloo, where he started the robotics club there. Good morning, Murat, and
Good
thanks for joining
morning.
us on Nerd Stalker, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Oh, no problem. This is pretty exciting here, and I think we're going to talk more about this. But you want to add anything about yourself that you want to tell the Nerd Stalker audience?
Sure. I mean, my day job, I'm a design engineer. We do electronics, and I often find myself doing very much the same thing for fun. And so, a lot of what I do is just making things that are gadgety and electronics and with embedded firmware and smarts. So yeah, a lot of this kind of rolls into the same sort of thing, and that's where a lot of my passions lie.
Yeah, that's good. I think Zackees is definitely not gadgety, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. So I'm here in San Francisco, and bicycle safety is a big concern. I think I read just the other day that maybe there were 4 deaths this year, which is the most any time in a year, right, here in San Francisco, a new record. And really the changing landscape of like maybe high fuel prices, lower parking options for cars, and higher population density makes bicycling in San Francisco a little bit more viable, right? So let's jump in and talk about Zackees and how Zackees can help bicyclists be safe and other things.
Sure. Yeah. So Zackees, as just we've released our turn signal glove. I have one right here, and this is the first in many wearable technologies we're planning on developing. And this particular one is related to bicycle safety and being seen. And so the basic idea is, as a company philosophy, we want to have tight integration between technology and fashion and wearables. It's not something that we want to make you feel like, oh, I mean, this is cool, it has a cool factor, but I wouldn't really want to be seen in this thing. This, however, is pretty tightly integrated. This is not a turn signal on a glove. This is a turn signal glove, and that's an important distinction for us. And everything we've done to create it basically is in line with that philosophy. So I put it on. It's got a rechargeable battery in it, this particular model, and all I have to do to turn it on is touch my thumb and index finger together. We've got these contact pads here, and that's it.
Wow.
That's all it does. There's no on switch. It's on when you need it, and otherwise it's just a glove. You can throw it in your bag. You can throw it in your drawer. You don't have to worry about it draining the battery or getting stuck on. We've built the smarts into it to prevent that.
Now let's talk about like kind of like I'm an engineer too, so let's talk about like how do you charge this? Is it wireless charging or is it direct charging or?
This rechargeable battery, it's a coin cell, and so we've got a little access slot in the bottom here where I can just basically take the battery out,
Nice.
put it in a charger. You plug it into a USB port and charge it in a couple hours, and then you're ready to go.
Oh, that's cool. Wow. Okay. So I mean, so how did you kind of think about this concept? Was Zach like writing and saying, there has to be a safer way of riding here in the city, or?
Basically, yeah. I mean, he was talking to some cyclist friends, and Zach's like me. He likes to build stuff. He has all these ideas, and then one of the things I admire about him is that when there's no barrier to the kinds of things that he'll take on. There's no mental block. He's a software engineer by trade, but he'll just start tinkering and building electronics, and he'll come to me and hey Murat, how does this thing work? Like how why does this do the things that it does? And then I have to come back with some of the engineering background and explain it, but he'll do it. And so if you look on our Kickstarter page, we've got some pictures of our old gloves, and they're much more crude than this. This is pretty nicely integrated, but you'll see, hand-wired LEDs connected directly to a switch, and so this is one of Zach's ideas. He basically said, cyclists need this. And cyclists don't have this because it's not something that you would want to put on your bike. It's not something that's easy to use. I'm talking mostly about turn signals that you put anywhere else, like on your helmet or on your handlebars. So this is something that's safe and something that we feel that you're going to want to wear, just because it's so easy to use, and it's not that different from ordinary gloves.
Right, right. No, that's pretty cool. So let's talk about it. You mentioned Kickstarter. So you guys are launching
Sure.
Kickstarter on the 9th of December here,
Right.
Monday, and
Yeah.
so
Yeah, we're days away.
what's let's talk about the Kickstarter campaign. What do you
Sure.
guys want to get out of it?
Well, the usual Kickstarter goals. We want to see what the interest is going to be in this. We want to be able to say, we think we have a great idea, and we've got a lot of great feedback on it. But Kickstarter is going to be what's going to tell us, okay, there's a lot of people that want this, and so it's going to allow us to take the next step and build thousands of these things. It's one thing to build, a handful of gloves in your workshop, but it's totally another thing to build 10,000 gloves. And so we see that, and Kickstarter is a big part of that goal. That's going to allow us to build the 10,000, 20,000, however many gloves we can build. It's going to allow us to gauge the interest and allow us to overcome some of the hurdles that companies typically have in ramping up new products.
How long do you think after you maybe close down the campaign that you'll probably ship in production?
It all depends on the volumes. And so it could be if we go with our current process where we have how we're building these prototype gloves, it could be about a week. But if we're going to ramp to a high volume scale, we're going to have to deal with things like component lead times. Some places don't have enough components in stock, and so we have to identify those and go through that process. And it's pretty iterative. You got to work with people and representatives from different vendors and things like that. And so that could be 10 to 15 weeks potentially.
Sure.
Once we get all the processes sorted out and you get your first prototypes back and you check them. And,
well, I'm sure a lot of your daytime job kind of plays into a lot of this, where you actually, know about a lot of those component lead times and outsourcing and all that stuff, right?
Yeah, it does. In fact, my day job, we're an engineering firm. That's what we do, and so it's pretty natural for me to work with this. That's why Zach and I make a good team.
Well, it's interesting because here in San Francisco Bay Area and in SF Tech, what I've noticed is that, people normally maybe 10, 15 years ago were very kind of shy about talking about any kind of side project. But now I find when I meet with many entrepreneurs, many engineers like yourself, they freely talk about other projects that they're doing. There's no, as long as there's no conflict of interest. Of course, there's some legal things that go along with that. But as long as there's no conflict of interest, I notice here we're very open about talking about, I have this daytime job, and but this is really a cool project I'm going to do on the side. And actually, this could really spin into a full-time job for you, right?
Could, but that's Kickstarter really helps with that. I think that's a big part of it. I think and Kickstarter, like options like Indiegogo and all these other, even the roll your own crowdfunding options. There's tons of them out there, and it's a different landscape now for entrepreneurs and startups. It's basically you have an idea. There's a lot of resources to make that happen, both financially and technically. One of the things that's really exciting about this for me is that I don't know how to really fill in some of these gaps. I have a lot of experience in building things, bringing them to market, but there's a lot to learn, and we've been learning it, and it's been really exciting.
I mean, yeah, and I think you have a really good startup community around you here in San Francisco. Obviously, I dropped in on the tech shop the other day,
Oh
and
yeah, a
and
membership there.
yeah, and it's a big
Yeah.
maker place, right?
Uh-huh.
But there's really no barriers there, and I think people don't really understand that about SF Tech, Silicon
Yeah.
Valley, is that people really freely share. Now of course
Yeah.
there's things you can't because it's either it's IP or whatever. But I mean,
Hmm.
as far as just the way of people asking for help and then people reaching out and just helping with not even thinking twice about it, almost.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the cool thing. So anyway, I think we'll close off the interview. I think it was a really great interview and kind of gave us a
Hmm.
little bit of a preview to the Kickstarter campaign that's starting next week on December 9th on Kickstarter again. So how can listeners get a hold of you and get to the Kickstarter page to see what Zackees is all about?
Sure. You can get the easiest way to do it is through our website, zackees.com. That's Zackees.com. And there's links to the Kickstarter. There's a email list sign up too if you want to get regular updates for what we're up to and new events and things that we're planning. That's probably the easiest.
No, that's cool. So
After we launch, you can search for us on Kickstarter as well.
absolutely. No, I think yeah, this is really exciting here, and when since I live here in San Francisco and see all the bikes here, this is really going to be a difference maker for bicycle safety here in San Francisco. So
Yeah, after I've been using it, I feel naked without them on the road on my
yeah,
bike.
I love it. So anyway, that was Murat Ozkan at Zackees, keeping bicycles visible and safe there. So thanks for joining us, everyone. This is Greg Warrior, aka Social Greg, on Twitter for the Nerd Soccer Media Network, where we believe in tech, startups, design, and you. Thanks for joining us, everyone, and be careful out there. Thanks a lot, Murat.
All right, thanks, Greg.
All right.